So let's start with the managing your emotional energy. How do you think about that?
This to me is almost the most important thing as we talk about this. What makes ministry so hard is not the specific tasks, it's the emotional energy connected to it,
Hmm.
right? Like there's a guy on our elder team who travels all over the place to give a presentation. He's like the heavy hitter that his company brings in to speak at all these conferences and stuff like that. There's physical exertion to traveling, there's physical exertion to speaking, but he's not pouring his heart out, right? He's not opening himself up. And he's not having to create a new talk every week. He's got like 3 or 4 talks and he picks one of them and they do it and he just does it over and over and over. And so it's like it's physically exerting, but preaching is emotionally exerting, right? Everyone listening who's a preacher understands what people who are not preachers do not understand, which is like the emotional pressure over time of having to keep delivering good preaching. It's like really significant. One of the ways I heard it explained was, to average people is to go, if you graduated from high school or you went through college, at some point you had like a big term paper that was due. And you know the feeling of being 3 days away from that paper being due and going, oh no, I have so much more I still have to do on this. And you know how much work it was. And you know like, oh crud. Well, preaching is you have that every week, only instead of turning this paper in, there's like people inviting their friends to hear you present it and not just read the paper, but like present it in an interesting, like it's a lot. So I think that's where like the extra time, especially those extra pressures of people's expectations or difficult things in your family or challenges in the church, maybe some busy seasons happen because there's crisis in the church or there's conflict and you find yourself wading into these waters, or like, man, there's a lot of extra elder meetings because we got big decisions to make. All of that stuff just takes significant emotional energy. So as we think about preaching through a busy season, we have to try to identify, oh man, here are the ways that I am being depleted emotionally. And I need to try to carve out some space and some time to replenish that. And in a busy season, that isn't going to look like big, huge chunks of time, but it might just be to go, you know what? When all I want to do is just sit on the couch and like scroll social media to kind of numb myself because I'm overwhelmed, what I actually need to do is sit on the porch, leave my phone inside, and just sit out there and take a bunch of deep breaths and drink coffee. And if I just do that for 30 minutes, like I'm going to actually be in a much better emotional place than if I doom scroll for a while. So it's carving out the things that replenish you so that in the midst of it, you are not only being depleted, but you're starting to refill that as well.